Mike then looked up at the light fixture on the wall, propped the entire bed at an angle against the wall, carefully climbed up, and easily removed the lamp cover. He used the spoon to unscrew the screws holding the lamp cover one by one, ultimately obtaining 4 metal frame pieces. Mike didn't waste any time. He immediately secured the metal bars against something hard and bent them with all his might, shaping them into hooks. Then he pulled out a steel wire from under the mattress, aligned a straight metal bar with the hook, and wrapped them tightly together with the wire, adding extra reinforcement at the base. In this way, Mike pieced together a steel wire rope strong enough to bear weight. After testing, the rope could fully support his weight, but the length still wasn't enough. Just then, a package arrived from his family, and the clothing inside was like a gift from heaven. Without hesitation, Mike tore all the clothes into fabric strips to continue making rope. Before long, all the preparations were finally complete. Mike planned to find the right moment in the near future to officially execute his escape. He then hurried to check on his fellow inmates' progress, only to find that his cellmate had run into trouble. The man said he couldn't pry open his cell door using Mike's method, so he'd come up with an alternative plan and written it on a slip of paper. However, Mike immediately rejected his cellmate's idea. The next day, he was horrified to discover that the inmate had been taken for interrogation. When the man returned, whenever Mike tried to approach and talk, he was immediately chased away by guards. The two could no longer communicate. The situation with his cellmate had become a complete unknown, and Mike was powerless to do anything about it. During one yard time, Mike suddenly noticed his cellmate's demeanor was clearly off, and a strong sense of unease washed over him. He decided to act alone within the next 2 days. But just then, Mike was suddenly called to the warden's office. The warden coldly informed him that his case had been closed and he would soon face execution by firing squad. Hearing this news, Mike felt extremely anxious, worried that all his careful preparations would come to nothing. He resolved to act immediately, but when he returned to his cell, he was shocked to discover a stranger, a new inmate, in the room. His escape plan was completely derailed at that moment. With only days left until his execution, Mike hadn't even finished the rope he needed to escape, and now there was another cellmate in the way. Mike even suspected the warden had deliberately planted this person to watch him, so he didn't dare reveal even a hint of his escape plans. But time was running out, and Mike's options were dwindling. Either eliminate John, or find a way to convince him to escape together. Mike began making conversation with John, probing to find out why he was imprisoned. After several exchanges, he'd basically determined that John was just an ordinary prisoner, but he still couldn't be sure whether the man could be trusted. If John really was the warden's informant, then months of planning would go completely down the drain. At that thought, Mike gritted his teeth and made an almost insane decision. The next day, after returning to his cell, he quietly hid the iron hook under the bed, then stared coldly at the sleeping John. But when it came to actually doing it, he hesitated. Mike, who had planned to strike while the opportunity was there, ultimately couldn't bring himself to go through with it. With the execution date drawing closer, Mike had no choice but to go all in. He decided to lay out his entire plan. But after hearing it, John thought it was impossible to succeed. If they failed, not only would they not escape, they might be executed on the spot. Mike had prepared for this. To dispel John's concerns, he demonstrated what he'd accomplished over the past days on the spot, and had even worked out a clear action plan for after the escape. When John saw those tools with his own eyes,